The innovative ideas will get into practical things, into the reality. So that will be considered in the second learning outcome in this particular chapter. Pistils is political, economical, sociological, technical, legal and environmental. So this will be covered in this second model. So then basically skill development and cluster development initiatives we have to discuss in this model, and the technology and infrastructure assistance. Hello everyone, welcome to our course Entrepreneurship and Startup Ecosystem. I am Devendra Somappa, Faculty, Department of Commerce and Management, Vidhyaashram First Grade College, MYSURU, the Temple of Excellence. Many students think that entrepreneurship is all about starting a company, but entrepreneurship is much more than that. It's about solving problems, creating opportunity, taking calculated risks, and bringing innovative ideas into reality. So today's class, it's all about the courses related BBA, third semester, and it is a completely introductory sessions. So we'll get to know in this today class, we'll be having agenda like syllabus, learning outcome, and the units. It consists of total 4 units. We'll discuss later on, and the internals and examinations patterns. Yes, let's get into this. So yes, we'll be having 4 important modules in this particular syllabus. The first one, introductions to entrepreneurships. It's pure related on basics and fundamentals of entrepreneurships. And in module number 2, we'll be developing a business idea and business model. In this particular model, we'll be discuss related the business ideas, how it will be developing. In the module number 3, it's purely based on the startup ecosystem and support mechanisms in India. So then finally, the MSME, Micro, Small, Medium Enterprises Act. So from this entrepreneurships and startup ecosystem, this could be the complete learning outcomes we have to get to know. So as we know that in these particular chapters, it's purely for entrepreneurial developments. So here, the first major outcome is we'll be get to know fundamental concepts. What is entrepreneurships? Why entrepreneurships is important nowadays? So based on these particular concepts, we'll get to know in this particular chapters, and the major significance, why the entrepreneurships is important nowadays, and how it will work, and what are all the benefit are given development to the economic or society from the entrepreneurship startups. And another one, it identify viable business ideas into startups, and it translate them into structures business models. So basically the plans, the ideas, the innovative ideas will get into practical things, into the reality. So that will be considered in the second learning outcome in this particular chapter. And next one, demonstrate knowledge of the Indian startup ecosystem. It's quite practical. We get to know about the entrepreneurships and what are all the financial supports, financial funding, institutions for funding those kind of activities, or particular institutions will be get to know from this particular module. And next, the strategies of growth, innovations and sustainability in a startup environment. And another learning outcome is to know about the growth and innovations. What are all the risk-taking abilities for an entrepreneur? What are all the characteristics there has to be? And what are all the roles they have to play in the entrepreneurship business? And another one, it develop entrepreneurial mindset and equipped with critical thinking, innovations and ethical business practices. For an entrepreneur, these are all the ideologies and mindset. What are all the major mindset, the motivational factors for entrepreneurs? We'll get to know from this particular syllabus. Yes. Then moving on to the first module, module number 1, introduction to entrepreneurships. So in this first module, the basic foundations will know about the meaning and the concept. What is actually entrepreneurships? What are all the concept and what are all the elements that included in the entrepreneurships? That will be get to know from this first module. And the evolution of entrepreneurships. So basically it consists of nearly 6 stages. We'll be get to know from Vedic period to startup era. We'll get to know all the major evolutions of the entrepreneurs. And in the first module, the most important, Dan Hope's classification of entrepreneurships. He is an American economist. Based on his perspective, what are all the different classifications of an entrepreneurs will get to know from this particular chapter. It will be having nearly 4 important classifications from the Dan Hope's mindset or Dan Hope's perspective, that will be innovative, imitative, Fabian, and drone entrepreneur. So who are innovative and who are imitative, Fabian and drone entrepreneur? Based on all the factors we'll get to know from the Dan Hope's classifications of entrepreneurships. And another thing, the major types and characteristics of an entrepreneur. What are the different types of entrepreneurs? And there will be nearly 7 to 8 different kind of an entrepreneurs will be there. Those are all apart from Dan Hope's classification. There will be some woman entrepreneur, rural entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur, based on the technical based entrepreneurs. So several entrepreneurs will be included in this particular types that we'll get to know from this particular module. And the major characteristics, what are all the basic and fundamental features of an entrepreneur we'll get to know from this model. It's a kind related to innovative entrepreneur. He should be a risk taking. He should be a optimum utilization of resources. Several things will be included in the characteristics of an entrepreneur. And another major topic, that entrepreneurial motivations and the mindset. If you want to become an entrepreneur, what kind of a mindset he should have? That will be covered in this particular topic. And another major thing, role of an entrepreneurship in economic development. See, entrepreneurship is not only a business, not only a new innovative skill set. While going with the entrepreneurial mechanism, what are all the role to develop our country by giving our generating the revenue for the government? That will be included in this first chapter. And most importantly, we will get to know women and rural entrepreneurships. It's very important for us to know about women and rural entrepreneurs because it's mandatory. So based on this, we'll beyond the entrepreneurship, we'll get to know what are the challenges faced by the women and the rural entrepreneurs. Will be in depth, will know about this particular entrepreneurships. So then, for an entrepreneurial activities, what are all the special financial assistance for specifically for women entrepreneurs given from the government? So those will be included in the financial assistance. It's something related to Mudra Yojan, Annapurna Yojan, Shri Shakti Yojan. Several financial assistance or funding from the government, a scheme from the government to the women entrepreneurs, that will be included in this particular model. And the last, in this first chapter, entrepreneur versus intrapreneur. What are the major differences between both of them? Either entrepreneur and entrepreneur are same or different. We'll get to know about in this particular chapter. So basically, entrepreneur who is act as an entrepreneur is not at all an entrepreneur as his own. So that will be covered in this model. Yes, this is the first module, and move on to the second module. We'll be knowing developing a business idea and business model. So after the foundations from the first module, the second module will be consist of developing a business idea into reality. So in this, idea generations techniques will be there and the opportunities evaluations. What are all the techniques to form the idea, to create a new business, a new venture. So that will be covered in this module. And the industry analysis tools like SWOT analysis, basically strength, weakness, opportunity and threat analysis will be included in this second module. And the Pestel Porter's 5 model. So Pestels is political, economical, sociological, technical, legal and environmental. So this will be covered in this second model. So this is very important for new ventures, new business startups. So then the next second topic will be business plan. Need for a business plan, foundations of a plan, what are all the strategies to make a plan, and the basic components or elements that included, and what are all the steps to be followed. So that will be covered in the second module. So then majorly another thing, introduction to business models. What are all the different kinds of varieties of business models will be learned from this module, and those are all the product based and business model, service based model and subscriptions based model, and several models will be included in the second module. Clear? So then finally BMC framework we have to learn about it and its business model canvas. These are all the things will be covered in the second module. We will be understand the ideas into reality, how we have to create a business model in this second module. So then move on to the third module, startup ecosystem in India. As we know that nowadays Indian government or India is providing lot of benefits to the startups. They are encouraging youngers by giving lot of schemes or funding through several platforms. So in this startup ecosystem, will be what are all the major support mechanism for a new entrepreneur or businessman will be considered in this second model. So there will be the definitions and elements of startup ecosystem. What are all the major elements will be included in the startup ecosystem will be learned through with this third model. And here we will be having overview of startup policies. What are all the principles we have to follow in this third model, and basically the government role by giving several institutional support to the new entrepreneurs will be covered in this third module. So specifically NIMSME, it's purely National Institute for Micro, Small, Medium Enterprises. PMEGP, it's Prime Minister Employment Generations District Institutes Commissions, and Khadi Village. So these are all the several financial institutions will support to the new entrepreneurs or startup ecosystem that will be covered in this chapter. So then institutional support in Karnataka, specifically in Karnataka, what are all the major institutions who's providing funds to a new startup ventures, that will be covered in this third chapter. That will be CIDOC. It's Center for Entrepreneurship Development of Karnataka, will be discussed in the third chapter. And the legal basics for startups, entity formations, what are all the formalities we have to follow, how we have to form a new business ventures. Through this third module, we'll get to know about this. As move on to the fourth module is MSME Act, Micro, Small, Medium Enterprises Act. In this, we'll be get to know the evolution, how we has been come up with the origin. We'll get to know about this chapter, and what are the policies from that MSME in India, we'll get to know, and the basic definitions and classifications of MSME, and the salient features. What are the major characteristics to be followed through MSME Act, we'll get to know about it. And Udyam registrations, the process, how the principles are set, and what are all the process we have to follow for the Udyam registrations, that will be through with the fourth module, MSME Act. And what are all the benefits and priority sectors lending and collateral free loans, what are all the financial funds that will be provided from that Udyam registration, that will be covered in this fourth module. And Atmanirbhar Bharat package for MSMEs. This is the central government scheme for new startup ventures. So that will be considered and we'll be know more about the Atmanirbhar Bharat package under this fourth module. And MSME Samadhan, these are all the portals we have to go through with the website. We'll get to know the practical knowledge about it, and will be discussed in this particular chapter. So then basically skill development and cluster development initiatives we have to discuss in this model, and the technology and infrastructure assistance. What are all the basic infrastructures we'll be providing through with MSME Act, will be going through with this fourth model. Yes. So these are all the four important modules. Startup ecosystem. First one, the introduction to entrepreneurship ecosystem, developing a business idea, and startup ecosystem, and MSME Act. We'll be having four important modules in this subject. So then move on to skill development activities. See, what are all the basic agenda behind it? Why you have to study entrepreneurial ecosystem, entrepreneurship? What is the major need? What are the skills we will be built going through with particular subjects? So we will be getting personal profile. So the students, in the sense, you may create a presentations on an Indian entrepreneur, local or regional entrepreneur. We'll get to know about them. Then we have to make a persona profile based on them. Then that can be give a motivations or giving challenges, what are all they faced in this particular business. So we'll get to know about it. So then through the skill development activities, we'll be brainstorm startup ideas in the classrooms, and present business model canvas will be through with these particular sections. So then each student maps the local, national startup ecosystem, 5 incubator government schemes, everything will be covered in this skill development activities. And again, the another 5 to 6 activities will be there. So then we'll be visiting local startups, incubators, and some students role play startups. These are all the activities will be included in this particular chapter. Next, we're moving on to the internal sections. So internals, it consists of total 30 marks. In that 30 marks, the first internals will be for first unit and second unit, and the second internals will be for third unit and fourth unit. So then final, the 20 marks will be allotted through with viva, assignments and seminars along with the internals. Yes. So then the major examinations pattern. See, this entrepreneurship and startup ecosystem subject consists of 80 marks for written plus 20 marks is for internals, total 100 marks paper. So it consists of part A 30 marks, part B 30, and part C will be 20 marks. So in that part A, there will be 4 questions. We have to write only 2 questions into 15 marks. It will be 30 marks. Clear? There will be options. They will be given 4 questions as an options. In that 4 questions, we have to write only 2 questions. For 2 questions, 15 each, you will be getting 30 marks in the part A. In the part B, they will be giving 5 questions. In that 5, you have to write only 3 questions. 3 into 10 marks, you will be getting 30 marks in the part B. They given 5 questions. In that 5, only you have to write 3 questions. That will be 10 each. Then final will be 30 marks. In the part C, there will be 6 questions. In that 6 questions, we have to write only 4 questions. So 4 questions consist of 5 marks each. So then total 20 marks. So by adding all this, we will be getting 80. 80 is a major main exam, external examinations. So then plus 20 will be internal examinations, total 100 marks paper. The next, the books for reference. So for this subject, I'll refer M. Bole Financial Institutions and Markets, and Khan, Indian Financial System. So then from Sharma and Meera, the Management of Financial Institutions, and another 2 basic books you could have refer for the examinations. So thank you.